The control room on Deck 7 was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines and blinking lights. Human technician Ryan was fixing a loose panel near the navigation console. His hands were greasy, his shirt half untucked. But he was smiling as usual. Beside him stood Jara, his alien coworker, tall and sharp-looking. Her green scales shimmered under the white lights, and her yellow eyes didn't blink much. She was from the Solvic species strong. Proud and always serious, Ryan, trying to lighten the mood, looked at her and joked, "You know, Nira from medical winked at me again today. Maybe I should ask her out this time." Jara froze. Her long fingers tightened on the data tablet. She was holding. Something in her body shifted, like a storm quietly building. Ryan didn't notice. "I mean, she's cute," he added, still smiling, "but not as intense as you, of course. You'd probably tear my head off if I flirted too much." The moment was short, but deadly. Jara suddenly slammed the tablet onto the control panel. A loud crack echoed through the room as sparks flew. The screen shattered, wires popped, alarms blared. Ryan jumped back, shocked. "What the hell?" Jara said nothing. Her face was stone, but her eyes burned with something wild. Angry, confused, she turned and walked out, her boots clicking hard on the metal floor. Emergency lights turned red. A voice came through the speakers, "Warning. Control systems offline on Deck 7, damage detected." Crew members rushed in, gasping at the broken console and the rising smoke. Ryan stood frozen, looking at the mess and trying to understand what just happened. Later, in the meeting room, the captain sat across from Ryan, frowning deeply. "Explain, Ryan," he said. "Why did Jara destroy a critical system?" Ryan shrugged helplessly. "I don't know, Captain. I just mentioned Nira from medical. Then she exploded like a plasma bomb." "Solvex are very private," said the alien science officer, his long antenna twitching. "Some of them see certain words as emotional challenges," was your comment. "Romantic in nature, I guess," Ryan replied. "It was just a joke. I didn't mean anything serious." "Well," the captain sighed, "this joke caused damage to the ships. Systems, until repairs are made, were grounded in orbit and were short on supplies." Ryan scratched his head. "So what do we do now?" The captain leaned forward. "You and Jara are going down to the planet's surface. There's an old research base below, still unexplored. You'll work together, alone. Fix the tension or this crew is in danger." Ryan blinked. "You're sending me alone with the alien who just tried to break the ship?" "You'll survive," the captain said, "or at least one of you will." The shuttle ride was awkward. Jara sat in silence, arms crossed, staring out the window. Ryan kept glancing at her, unsure if she was still angry or just naturally. "Terrifying look," he said finally. "If this is about what I said earlier, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you." Jara didn't reply. Her eyes stayed fixed on the planet below, thick with red clouds and sharp mountain ranges. Her body was tense, like a coiled spring. The shuttle broke through the clouds, its turbulence shaking them. "Hold tight," Ryan said, gripping the side rail. Jara didn't move. Even as the shuttle twisted hard left, they landed rough, skidding. Across dusty rock, outside, a cold wind howled across the barren land. They stepped out together into a forgotten world. Ruins in the distance, towers broken, and the sky burning orange above. Ryan looked around, then at Jara. "So, any idea where this old base is?" She pointed silently toward the ruins. Her eyes met his for just a second. Cold. Unreadable, but full of something deeper. Something she wasn't saying as they walked toward the ruins. Ryan whispered to himself, "This mission's gonna kill me." He didn't notice Jara's ear flick at his words, or the small movement of her lips, almost like a hidden smile. But above them, in the silent clouds, something ancient had already started to wake up. and it wasn't going to let them leave easily. The ground beneath Ryan's boots was rough and cracked. Old stone mixed with metallic dust, cold wind cut through the air. Whistling between broken towers and rusted walls, the ruined research base looked dead. But something about it made Ryan feel like it was watching him. Zhara walked ahead of him. In silence, her long coat moving like a shadow behind her. She didn't speak, didn't turn back. She acted like he wasn't even there. Ryan hated silence, especially after being yelled at by a control panel and nearly thrown out of the airlock. By his own teammate, he tried again. "You really mad about the Nira thing?" he asked, voice light. "Or are you just angry all the time?" Zhara didn't respond, but she paused for half a second. That half second was enough to tell Ryan something she heard him, and maybe, just maybe, she didn't hate him completely. They reached the main gate of the ruined base. It was half buried in sand, wires sticking out like broken teeth. Ryan started to dig around, looking for a power node. He found one, cracked open the panel, and connected his wrist device. The door groaned. Lights flickered. Then it opened with a sharp screech. Dust fell from the ceiling, and something skittered in the darkness inside. Zhara stepped forward without fear, scanning with her weapon. Ryan followed behind, flashlight shaking slightly in his hand. The place smelled like metal and rot, and the walls were covered in symbols he didn't recognize. "This place gives me the creeps," he muttered. "It should." Zhara said at last, her voice low, sharp like a blade. "This base belonged to the precursor watchers. They vanished. But their machines still whisper." Ryan blinked. "Great, haunted tech. That's what I need today." They explored deeper, passing rooms filled with shattered screens, broken chairs, and dried blood on the floors. There were no bodies, only signs that something bad had happened long ago in one of the control rooms. Ryan found a console with a faint glow. He tapped a few buttons. "Still got power," he said, surprised. "Could be something here worth saving." Zhara didn't reply. She was staring at a large wall panel covered in alien glyphs. Her hand reached out slowly, fingers trembling not from fear, but from something else. Recognition. Ryan noticed. "You okay?" Zhara turned slightly, her voice quiet. "These symbols. They speak of exile, of bloodline shame. This is a Solvex warning." Before Ryan could ask more, a loud cracking sound echoed through the hallway behind them. Heavy footsteps, slow and mechanical. Something big was coming their way. Zhara pulled her weapon, eyes flashing. Ryan grabbed his toolkit, then hesitated. "What the hell is that?" "Guardian," Zhara said, her voice firm. "They protect the sacred halls from outsiders or traitors." The wall behind them exploded. A massive robot-like creature stepped into the room. Its eyes glowed red, arms shaped like drills and blades. It scanned the room and locked onto Zhara. "Bloodline defect." It spoke in a deep, grinding voice. "Eliminate the dishonored run," Zhara shouted. They bolted through a side hallway, the Guardians smashing through walls behind them. Ryan tripped once, scraped his knee, but Zhara grabbed him, pulled him forward without a word. They ducked into a maintenance shaft. Crawling through wires and pipes, the creature roared behind them. Too big to follow it, at least for now. Ryan panted, lying flat on the floor. "So, care to explain why a killer robot thinks you're some kind of traitor?" Zhara looked away. Her jaw clenched. "I was born of mixed blood," she said. "My father was not of the royal caste. That makes me a danger in their eyes," and smashing the control panel. Ryan asked, still breathing hard. "That was?" "There was a signal," she replied, "a hidden transmission. If I didn't stop it, it would have called more like that machine. The ship would be lost." Ryan stared at her, mind racing. "So you didn't lose control. You were saving us." Zhara's eyes glowed softly in the dark. You spoke of another female, casually, as if it meant nothing. Ryan blinked, then realized you thought I was choosing someone else. That? I didn't care. Silence fell between them, not cold this time, but heavy with unspoken words. Outside the shaft, the Guardian's footsteps faded, but Ryan knew it wasn't over. Something deep and powerful had been disturbed. He looked at Jara again. Not as a co-worker or a dangerous alien, but as someone wounded. Fighting battles inside no one else could see. Next time, he said quietly, just talk to me before smashing things, okay? Jara didn't smile, but her eyes softened just a little. We still need to find the signal source, she said, and shut it down for good. Ryan nodded. Let's do it together, and for the first time, Jara didn't walk ahead of him, she walked beside him. Their shadows stretched across the hallway as they moved forward to different beings, forced together by accident. Now bound by something far stranger, something the machines in the dark would never understand. Asterisk. The hallway ended in a wide stone door, taller than both of them. Strange symbols carved deep into its surface. The glowing lines pulsed like a slow heartbeat, red and gold. Ryan stepped closer. Brushing dust off the middle panel, "This thing's alive," he whispered. "I swear, it's..." Breathing, Jara stood still, her hand hovering over one of the carvings. Her eyes were locked on a circle, surrounded by jagged lines. A symbol she clearly recognized. "It's the mark of the First Mother," she said softly, "a sacred figure in Solvex history. This was her temple." Ryan blinked. "So we're walking into a holy place, right after being chased by a death machine? What could go wrong?" Jara placed her palm on the symbol. The door opened with a deep, grinding sound. A wave of cold air poured out, filled with a scent of dust, stone, and something old, something powerful. The chamber inside was massive, lit by a soft, golden glow coming from the walls themselves. Tall statues stood in a circle, all shaped like Solvex warriors. But one statue at the center was different. It had softer features, a crown of crystal, and eyes that looked exactly like Jara's. Ryan stared at it, then looked at her. "That's not a coincidence, is it?" Jara stepped forward slowly, her voice calm but distant. "They say the First Mother had a child that vanished. A daughter born with forbidden blood. I always thought it was a story to scare younglings." Ryan's voice dropped. "But now?" "You're not so sure." She didn't answer. Instead, she kneeled before the statue, and a panel opened on the floor, revealing a smooth, metallic disc glowing with symbols. Ryan approached carefully, scanning it with his tool. "There's something in here," he said. "A memory file. Audio and visuals thousands of years old." He pressed the button, and a hologram appeared, showing a Solvex elder speaking to a crowd. "This is the truth they erased," the projection said. "The First Mother's child was sent away to protect her. Born of human touch, she carried both strength and emotion. She would return only when blood cried out again." The image vanished. Silence returned. Ryan turned slowly toward Jara, his voice quiet. "You're her descendant." Jara stood up, her shoulders shaking slightly, but not from fear. Her claws curled into fists. Her voice barely a whisper. "I was always told I was wrong. It's unclean, dangerous to our kind. Now I learn I was part of something sacred." Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder gently. "So when you got mad on the ship, it wasn't just about me being dumb. It was something deeper." Jara looked at him, her eyes softer now. "I was afraid," she admitted, "afraid. You'd look at me like the others do, like I'm broken." Before Ryan could reply, a deep rumble shook the temple from the walls. Small mechanical drones started to emerge, floating silently, scanning the two intruders. "Uh-oh," Ryan said, pulling his small sidearm. "I think the temple doesn't like eavesdroppers." Jara stood tall, pulling her blade from her back. They're memory guardians, designed to erase those who learn the forbidden truth of course they are, Ryan muttered. Why can't anything in ancient alien temples ever be friendly? The drones fired beams of light, not lasers, but something worse, beams that erased parts of the floor as they touched it. One nearly hit Ryan's arm. Slicing through stone like water, he dived for cover while Zara leaped into the air, spinning. With impossible grace, her blade slashed through one drone, sparks flying like fireworks. Ryan crawled to the console and yanked out the memory core. Got it? He yelled, "Let's move." Zara covered him as they ran out of the temple, the walls shaking and dust falling like rain. Statues collapsed behind them, and the door slammed shut just as they crossed the threshold. Outside, the sky was darker than before, thick clouds gathering fast. Lightning cracked above, and something huge moved in the distance. A new sound rose in the wind, a low tone. Not from nature, but from a machine. A call they know, Zara said, her voice sharp again. The Solvex Empire. They heard the signal. Ryan looked at the memory core in his hand, then at her, and now they're coming. Zara nodded. To erase me. Ryan shook his head, gripping the memory core tighter. Not if I have anything to say about it. She stared at him for a long second, then gave a nod, not of command, but of trust, for the first time. Zara wasn't just the cold warrior who smashed control panels. She was someone standing at the edge of everything she believed. And she wasn't alone anymore. The wind screamed as they climbed the ridge above the ruined temple. Cold dust blew against their faces, and sharp stones cracked under their boots. Ryan's arms ached from carrying the heavy memory core. Zara didn't complain, but her eyes stayed focused on the storm above. Behind them, something moved in the shadows, silent, heavy and fast. Ryan glanced over his shoulder. I think we're being followed. Zara didn't answer. She just stopped, closed her eyes for a second, and then said softly, "It's the Guardian again. Rebuilt, or maybe another one." As if summoned by her words, a loud metallic roar shook the air. Rocks tumbled from nearby cliffs, and the mountain behind them opened, revealing a hidden chamber from the darkness. A new machine stepped forward, four-legged, taller than both of them. It had no eyes, only sensors that spun and locked onto their heat signatures. Its long tail flicked, ending in a glowing spear. Ryan whispered, "Okay, yeah, definitely upgraded." The creature didn't speak like the last one. It just launched forward without warning, crashing through the stone ground. Zara pushed Ryan out of the way. Blades drawn, she attacked fast. Her movements like lightning, but the creature was faster. It slammed her against the cliff wall with its tail. Ryan shouted, ran toward her, grabbed a loose pipe, and swung at the machine's leg. The pipe bent like paper, but the distraction worked. The machine turned to him, ready to strike. Zara sprang back, leaped onto its back, and drove her blade into one of its joints. Sparks exploded, and the machine screeched. Throwing her off, Ryan scrambled to reach the memory core. "We can't fight this thing forever. We need to run." Zara landed beside him, breathing hard. "It's not here to kill us. It wants the core. They must have programmed it to retrieve the memory before it gets off-world. So what do we do?" Ryan asked, eyes wide. "Throw it into a volcano." She didn't laugh. Instead, she scanned the horizon and pointed to a large, jagged hill. Steam rising from its base. "Thermal vents, we overload the core inside one. It'll erase the daytand. Fry anything chasing it." Ryan looked down at the core, then at her. "That's history in my hands, Zara. Proof that you're more than what they told you. You're ready to burn it." Her eyes narrowed. "I know who I am now. That's enough. But you don't have to come." He didn't respond with words. Just started running toward the vents, holding the core like his life depended on it. The machine roared again and gave chase, crashing through rocks, leaving deep claw marks in the ground. Steam hissed from the earth as they reached the vents. Small geysers shot boiling gas upward. The air burned their skin. Ryan dropped beside the largest vent. Working fast to open the core's outer shell, just a few seconds, he said, "Fingers." Shaking, Yara stood between him and the machine, sword raised. Her breathing was steady now. Focused, calm. The machine charged again, and this time she didn't move. Instead, she waited. Then, at the last second, spun sideways and struck with full strength. The blade cut deep into its neck joint. Sparks exploded and oil sprayed across. The rocks, the machine fell to one knee. Damaged, but not done, Ryan yelled, "Now." He threw the open core into the vent. The ground rumbled as the energy inside the memory disk reacted with the heat. A blinding light burst upward, followed by a deafening roar. The machine tried to retreat, but the explosion ripped it apart. Metal flying in all directions. Yara shielded Ryan with her body, holding tight as the ground shook beneath them. When the dust settled, everything was silent again. Only the wind remained. Ryan coughed and pulled away. Eyes wide, "Did we survive?" Yara looked around slowly, then nodded. For now, they sat in silence for a moment. Steam rising around them. "I'm sorry," Ryan said quietly, "for being stupid on the ship. For not understanding what that moment meant to you, Yara." Didn't speak. She just looked at him, her expression unreadable. Then she said, "You risked everything for me today. That means more than any apology." Ryan chuckled. "Guess I'm growing on you, huh?" Yara tilted her head like a fungus. He laughed, and for the first time she smiled, a real one. Small but warm, but their peace didn't last long. High above, several flashes lit up the sky. Bright silver trails cut through the atmosphere. Ryan stood, face turning pale. "What is that?" Yara watched the sky with cold eyes. "Ships, Solvex ships. They're here." Ryan's chest tightened. "They're not going to wait to talk, are they?" Yara shook her head slowly. "No, they've come to erase me. And now you too, Ryan." Picked up a broken piece of metal and tossed it aside. "Then let's make sure they know we're not going quietly." And beside him, the once feared warrior didn't argue. She simply stood, ready to fight. The sky above the planet had changed. For Solvex warships hovered like metal gods in orbit. Their shadows reached the ground. Even through thick clouds and ash, their engines whispered across every communication channel, a warning without words. Ryan and Yara stood at the edge of the thermal field, the ground still steaming beneath them. Ryan stared up, breathing slow. "Those ships. They're not here for a visit." "No," Yara said, voice low. "They came for justice." He looked at her, confused. "Justice? For what?" "For being born wrong," she replied, her yellow eyes glowing faintly. "For being what I am." A sharp tone rang out from Ryan's wrist device. The universal translator cracked and hissed. A voice came through deep, clear, and full of command. "This is the voice of Matriarch Zeltha, High Mother of the Solvex Dominion." The message began. "You have taken what does not belong to you. You travel with one who bears forbidden blood. The child of impurity must be surrendered immediately." Ryan stepped back, heart pounding. He looked at Yara. "They're talking about you." Yara didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the sky. Shoulders still, but her hands trembling. The voice continued. "We offer mercy to the human. Return her to our ships, and you may walk away unharmed. Refuse, and you will both be considered traitors to galactic law." Ryan turned off the comm. Silence returning like a weight. He looked at her. "What are you going to do?" Yara turned her back on the sky, facing the smoking ruins below. "I'm going to walk into the storm." Ryan stepped in front of her. "No, You're not going anywhere. They don't get to decide what you are." She looked at him, surprised. By the fire in his voice, "You don't understand, Ryan. They will destroy this world just to erase a mistake like me. I won't let others die because of my blood." Ryan didn't move. His voice softened. "Then we show them. We don't hide. We don't run. We stand." Zhara shook her head. "Even if we send a message, who will listen? They'll say I'm a liar, a threat, and you're just a confused human who got too close." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then let's confuse them some more." They returned to the half-working research base, the consoles flickering with unstable power. Ryan tapped into the ship's deep signal relay, rerouting it through an old precursor beacon. "This thing's older than half their empire," he said, hands flying across the controls. "If we use the beacon's pulse, we can broadcast everything, memory, symbols. The truth straight to the Alliance records." Zhara frowned. "They'll intercept it." "That's the point," Ryan said. "Let them see it. Let them panic." As the beacon powered up, glowing brighter with every second, Zhara stood beside him, then placed her hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to do this, Ryan," she said softly. "You didn't ask for any of this." He turned to her, serious now. "Zhara, the day you smashed that control panel, I thought you were crazy." She raised an eyebrow. "I was," Ryan chuckled. Then continued, "But now I know you were brave enough to do something I wouldn't even understand. And if I let you go now, I'd regret it forever." For a moment, they just stood there, the lights blinking, the message preparing to launch into space. Then the door behind them slammed open. A Solvex warrior stepped inside, tall, armored, and armed. "I am Commander Vezin," he said, voice sharp. "By the will of the matriarch, I order the surrender of the impure one." Zhara stepped forward, her voice steady. "She's not here." Vezin narrowed his eyes. "Lies." Ryan raised his hand, showing the glowing beacon. "You might want to step back, Commander. In 5 seconds, the truth will be out there, and no matter what you do, you can't unsee it." Vezin aimed his weapon. "You're both fools." Zhara's blade was at his throat before he could blink. "And you're not fast enough." The beacon released its pulse. A golden wave spread through the air, through space, past stars and networks, carrying data older than empires. Truth deeper than law. Vezin froze as his wrist device showed the memory. The symbols, the voice of the First Mother echoing through him. "This can't be," he whispered. "She was a myth." Zhara pulled her blade away. "No, I'm standing right here." The commander stepped back, eyes wide. He didn't raise his weapon again. Outside, the warship slowed, their engines cooling. Something had shifted. The matriarch was watching, but now she wasn't sure if she was the one in control anymore. Ryan looked at Zhara, her hair falling across her face, her chest rising slowly. "You just shook the throne," he whispered. She looked at him, a faint smirk appearing. "Feels good." The warships above didn't fire, but they didn't leave either. They hovered like watchers, waiting for the matriarch's command. Inside the old research base, the lights flickered low. The beacon had gone dark. The signal sent, the truth released. But the silence afterward felt heavier than any battle. Ryan sat on a broken crate, his hands dusty, his heart still racing. Zhara stood a few feet away, her arms crossed, her back to him. She was staring at the cracked walls, but her thoughts were far beyond them. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Outside, the wind had died down, and the sky turned deep red with the setting light, a calm that didn't feel peaceful, only uncertain. Ryan finally broke the silence. "I've seen you face machines, command rooms, and stand up to your own people," he said quietly. "But I've never seen you this still." Zhara didn't turn, her voice low and distant. "I was trained to lead by force, by silence, by command. She paused, but not to speak. From the heart, not to feel. Ryan watched her closely. You were scared back there, weren't you? Yara turned slowly, meeting his eyes, terrified, she admitted. Not of dying, not even of exile, but of being seen. Ryan nodded, understanding more than he expected. You spent your life hiding in plain sight, he said. Pretending to be cold so no one saw the heat inside you. She gave a small breath that might have been a laugh. I smashed the control panel because I panicked. You mentioned another female. And I thought I was being replaced, that you would walk away from me, like the others always did. Ryan blinked, surprised. But we weren't even, I didn't know we were that close. We weren't. She said softly, but I hoped we might be. Her words floated in the air like smoke, warm, uncertain, real. Ryan stood slowly. Walked toward her, stopping just inches away. You could have told me, she shook her head. Solvex don't confess emotions. It's seen as weakness. Even now, I feel like I've broken every rule. Ryan looked into her eyes. Maybe breaking rules is how change starts, Yara. Took a deep breath, her voice cracking for the first time. I spent years believing I had to be alone, that no one would ever choose me. Not truly. And when you joked about Nira, it wasn't jealousy, it was fear. Fear that I'd found something good, and it would slip away before I could understand it. Ryan reached out, gently touching her arm. I don't know what we are yet, he said, but I'm still here. That should mean something. She didn't pull away, didn't flinch, for a Solvex. Even that was a powerful gesture. Her fingers curled slightly around his hand. They stood like that for a while. No words, no war, no mission, just two beings in the quiet. Then the console nearby beeped. A new message arrived, encrypted. Short, from the flagship above, Yara walked over, tapped it open, and read aloud Matriarch's decision. Yara, of mixed blood, shall be summoned for formal trial, accompanied by human witness. Vessel to be sent for retrieval. Ryan blinked. They want us to go up there, onto one of their warships. Yara's voice stayed calm, but her eyes flashed. Yes, before their entire council. He gave a dry laugh. Can I wear something less dusty? I'm not sure grease and blood are welcome fashion statements in royal court. She didn't smile this time. This won't be a hearing, Ryan. It will be a battle in words, in history, in bloodlines. Then I'll be your backup, he said, even if I'm the only human in the room. Yara turned to him, serious again. They'll mock you, threaten you. Maybe even try to take you as a hostage. Ryan shrugged. They'd regret it. I bite. She tilted her head slowly. Strange, you've become braver than I expected. He stepped closer. No, I've just been around you too long. Maybe some of your warrior instincts rubbed off, the distant rumble of an approaching shuttle echoed outside. The sky flashed with light as the Solvex craft lowered through the clouds. A long, sleek ship, black and silver. With the crest of the Matriarch glowing on its side, Yara turned to Ryan, her voice steady again. Once we board, there's no turning back. Ryan nodded. Then let's go make history, as they stepped outside, walking side by side into the rising wind. The shuttle door opened, its path lit by glowing lights, and in that moment, neither of them were just a human or an alien. They were something more, a team, maybe something even stronger. The Solvex shuttle was silent inside. No crew spoke, no screens flickered. Only the low hum of engines filled the space as it carried Ryan and Yara toward the flagship above. Ryan sat beside her, trying to act calm, but his heart was thudding. Like a hammer in his chest, the Matriarch's ship was no ordinary vessel. It was a symbol of law, power, and fear. Yara hadn't said a word since they boarded. Her expression was unreadable again. The warrior mask back in place, but her hand rested near his clothes. Not touching, just close enough, it said more than words. The shuttle docked with a sharp click. Doors opened with a hiss. Guards lined the corridor. Tall Solvex soldiers in silver armor, weapons holstered but eyes alert. They didn't speak to Ryan. They only looked at him with cold judgment, like a stray animal brought into a temple. At the end of the hall stood the grand chamber, circular, with a glowing floor and golden arches that reached the ceiling. Seated at the center was Matriarch Zeltha, taller than any Solvex Ryan had seen. Her robe shimmered like liquid metal, and her voice echoed before her mouth even moved. "Zhara of mixed blood," she said, and the human who stands beside her. "You have entered this chamber by demand, not by right." Ryan stepped forward, but Zhara placed a hand on his chest. She moved ahead, calm, proud, unshaken. "I enter. Not to beg," she said, voice strong, but to challenge. A ripple of shock passed through the chamber. Several council members hissed or leaned forward in disbelief. Zhara continued, "The data you received from the surface is real. The First Mother had a child of both bloods, ours and the humans." That line continued, "And I am the result. You may call it impurity. I call it evolution." Zeltha's voice dropped low, cold. "You dare claim lineage to sacred myth. You bring a human into this chamber, and you speak of change." Ryan stepped forward now, ignoring the guards who tensed instantly. "I didn't come here to watch her be silenced," he said. "I came to say something simple. You don't have to accept her because of ancient data. You should accept her. Because she saved everyone, including your fleet." The matriarch's eyes narrowed. "You presume to speak for our kind, human?" Ryan didn't flinch. "I speak because I watched her risk her life for people who hate her. Because I saw her carry history on her shoulders when all of you turned away. Because I believe in what she is, whether you do or not." A silence settled over the room. One of the council members, older, stepped forward. The old blood feared human emotion, feared chaos, he said. "But what if strength is found in chaos, not weakness?" Zhara looked at him, surprised. Another member stood, then another. Not all, but enough to show something had cracked. Zeltha raised a hand. "This is not a vote," she said. "I am the voice of order," but her voice sounded smaller now. Less certain, Ryan turned to Zhara and nodded. She stepped closer to the center. Her voice quiet now, but sharper than any blade. "You built an empire on fear of impurity, but purity never protected you. It was a half-blood who stopped the Guardians, who silenced the signal, and it was a human who stood with me, not out of duty, but out of choice." The matriarch stood slowly. She stared at Zhara for a long time, then at Ryan. Finally, she spoke. "You may return to your ship. We will not pursue you." Ryan's eyebrows rose. "That's it." Zeltha's eyes narrowed. "It is not an acceptance. It is not a reward. It is mercy." Zhara gave a small bow, not of submission, but of strategy. "Then we accept it." They turned and walked out together. No guards followed, no weapons were drawn, but behind them something had shifted. Something the Solvex Council would not be able to undo. Not in one day, not in one generation. Back on their ship, the crew stared as they entered. No one spoke, but one by one, they moved aside, letting them pass. Ryan flopped into his old chair, groaning. "I just told off a galactic queen," he said. "I think I need a drink." Zhara sat beside him, her expression unreadable again. But after a pause, she said softly, "You tamed the storm." He looked at her, surprised. "I did what?" "You faced power with truth," she said, "and made them listen. That is rare," he smirked. "Does that mean you'll stop smashing things when I make dumb jokes?" She leaned closer, her voice low. "No, but I'll warn you first." They both laughed. Not because everything was fixed, but because, for the first time, they didn't have to fight alone. They had each other, and that was more powerful than any empire.